Alright, so this is a continuation of my last 4-minute video. So yeah, my face, like, I don't know, I'm gonna try to exercise it and shit, but yeah, it's noticeable. Like, that just happened like between 2015 and anyway, so we'll see. So they sent me to this classroom in San Martin Gwin, and it was a classroom for oh yeah, we had a little meeting where they were speaking Spanish and teaching people how to speak English. And I was like, I didn't understand what was going on, and then I was like, and they were like, okay, your turn to read. And I was like, gonna read in Spanish, and I was like, and I started crying, and they're like, what? And so they figured out that I wasn't like from Mexico. So they sent me to, and so the teachers walked me out, and I was crying, and they were like, oh, what's wrong? So they figured out that, so it was, that's when I cried, I remember, but so that wasn't the peen incident. And then I remember in fourth or fifth grade, they I was already hanging out with the popular kids, you know, and we were listening to rock and roll and like having our little birthday parties together and whatever, make-out parties. And so it was like, oh no, this was before that. So 5th and 6th grade. 6th grade is when we started, but we were hanging out in 5th grade. But in 4th grade, I was still kind of buddies with a few of these people, but not like super buddies with the whole group. So in 4th grade, my parents had money, so they'd dress me nice in nice clothes or whatever. But I would still always have to fold, like have cuffs on my pants. Like I was still a little chunky, but we used to go to halls, which my uncle worked there, so we'd get deals, like, so I'd get Ben Davis, like pants, and like, Levi's, and like nice pants, but they're, a little too long for me, but anyway, so the teacher didn't know what group I fit in, if I was a welfare kid or not. And so most of us Mexican kids were on welfare, I don't know, but the popular kids weren't. So I was like, they were like, raise your hand if you get free lunch, pretty much, or something. And I was like, and I wasn't sure, and they were like, and they asked me, they looked around, and they were like, Daniel, do you get that? Do you need free lunch? I don't know what it was, but I wasn't sure. I mean, I always got free lunch before that, so they didn't ask free lunch, they asked something else. I think it might have been for a field trip, but they were asking if we were in some program or whatever, and I didn't know. So then, but they didn't know. That's the issue, is they didn't know because of the way I dressed or my group. I don't know. I wasn't like a popular kid at the time, but I think it was my clothes. And so they didn't know if I was what group I fit in. And anyway, so ended up I did get food, free food, and government cheese and all that stuff. So that was one of those moments where I was like, man, that's crazy, that's weird that where I fit in. So yeah, so that was I remember also going to and by this time too I was a drawer, so all my friends from over there were like, oh, you can draw good and all this stuff, and I was learning how to play guitar, man. So I was learning how to play guitar, and so I was a little artistic kid, so all my friends were like, hey, he's the artist guy. So it kind of fit in there too. And then, what else? And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. And I think I was growing out my hair too. I don't know, 6th grade. Long hair in 6th grade. By the time I left, I could have been the summer. So anyways, I want to talk about Oroville. So we moved to Oroville. Actually, I had a girlfriend there in 6th grade. Her name was Betsy. She was a redheaded girl. And I don't know, it was kind of weird. It was like 5th grade, 6th grade, I don't know. There was all the girls too, all the popular kids. They were all white kids. So it was like, it was me and this other Mexican kid, Matt, and this other Jeremy guy. And then there's this other girl that got there. She was like taller than everybody, and she was a Mexican girl too, good looking girl at the time. She was like a little ahead of us. It was like, but I was kind of tall at the time, so I was like, so we were kind of the same height. And so we kind of started, like, she was going out with the shorter kid, Jeremy, which had the same birthday as I did, but he was like kind of more of like a white kid, but he was a little ruffian. We had an altercation at the time, but we were buddies most of the time. And then towards the end, like, I was like kind of not bullying him, but on purpose, but like kind of like, I don't know, I got to go to his house and play, and he lived in Gilroy, or at the time, and we were like wrestling, or I don't know, I had him on the ground, and I was like twisting his leg and making him roll in the dirt. Not on purpose, but just like, just being a ruffian. I was stronger than him, and we were just like messing around and playing, and so he got all pissed off at that day, and then we ended up not being friends after that. And then he moved away. So that was like all happened around the same time. But before that, his girlfriend was this other girl. Man, I can't remember her name. But yeah, and when I moved away. Oh yeah, I remember also in 6th grade, like, so I got 2nd place. It was this other tall blonde kid. He was kind of nerdy, but he was like kind of not, ended up not being nerdy, but he got 1st place. Like, he drew this eagle, and I drew this like Duff from Guns N' Roses, and we entered in the contest. But then they were like, oh, you can't do pencil or whatever. So I, like, that morning, I was all ready to turn it in, like my portrait. And then they're like, oh, you gotta, so I found a marker, cheap marker, and I inked it. I went over it with ink, because I thought, so it was like, I messed up the drawing. It was like, so I only got 2nd place. So like, the guy got 1st place, and his thing was all framed nice, and like super shaded and detailed. I don't know if, like, I think like he must have got lessons or something, because there's no way. I never seen this kid draw before that. Like, and now he was all like super professional, like something you see in a museum or something. So I was like, so kind of that happened in my life, and I was like, and all my friends were like, oh man, you should have got 1st place, and blah blah blah. And so it was kind of weird, weird. And then I remember 5th grade, I think it was like, I remember going through the library to the bathroom, and like to the class, and like I saw like some of the kids that we hung out with, and a few other, like, the smart kids pretty much, and they were in like this gate program, I guess I asked, and the smart in science, and there was basically, they got out of class and go do cool stuff. And I was like, man, what the heck is going on? Like, why do they get to go to that? And so I was kind of like, and I was thinking like, man, I'm smarter than that person and that person. But it was still cool. And then, but at the same time, like, also, I'd always miss days. I would always miss like multiple days and be late. So that was an ongoing thing through my whole school life of before college. Like, I've always been like, so my 6th grade teacher, Miss Ferrara, I don't know her name. She had braces, and she was a really fun teacher, like energetic, I remember one time we all came in from break and she was like, man, you guys need deodorant. Like, she pretty much said we stink. Like, and we probably did, but we were too young to know we were supposed to wear deodorant, I guess. I don't know. So she made a joke when I came into class one day, and they were like, she was like, man, you need to marry a sumo wrestler so that she can make you go to school or get up on time or make, basically like make you go to class, or I don't know what it was, but and I was like, oh, me? Like, I was still chunky at the time, so I was like, kind of like, oh. But it was cool. She was still cool, but it was, I remember that moment. But I should have been with the smart kids in the class, so. Anyway, so that happened, moved away. It was sad that we moved away. But my parents wanted to relocate to Oroville, and some family stuff happened, and I don't know, I might have talked about it already, but so Oroville was different. Lived in Oroville from 13, moved back in 8th grade, beginning of 8th grade. So 7th grade I went to Central, and in Oroville. I had long hair, it was different. I don't know if I already talked about this. It feels like I already talked about this. So let me give you a quick overview. I went to church, Seventh-day Adventist. Man, there's just too much stuff. So, and then went back to Morgan Hill, Britain. Got to go there for a little bit. And then I remember being in football, and before in 6th grade, this summer, 6th grade, I wanted to play football, and I didn't get in football. My friend Matt Serrano got into football, and I was like bigger, and I was tougher, and I was like wanted to be on the Morgan Hill Raiders, and I went to the meeting and everything, and they didn't let me in because I was too big. And I wasn't like super big or nothing, so I was like super upset because my whole life, like, I wanted to play football, and I knew I was gonna be great. So, man, that's how life is trippy. Like, it'll give you greatness, but then you don't even get to use it sometimes. So that was like a really sad moment in my life. I cried, and my mom was like, it was just, I don't know, like somebody should have fought for that, because I should have totally been on the team. Like, that was like, it happened twice in my life. So it happened in Oroville too, and LP. I didn't get to be part of the team either because my parents didn't sign the papers or whatever. I don't know. I went to practice for like all summer and everything, and just didn't get to finish that. I think I talked about it. It feels like I talked about all this already. So Oroville was different. Lived in Oroville. Found out about racism. And then, just because, like, people would be, the old white folks and stuff would kind of say things, and then all the cowboy kids would be like, kind of have their group, and the older kids would kind of, it was just kind of prevalent. I don't know where I exactly saw it first or more, but I just remember seeing the cultural difference. So then till 18, and then moved to, where did I go to? Alaska, Montana, with friend Don Cheatham. And then to Alaska, and then back over to Oroville. Then went to Butte College. Had a kid. Ended up living in apartments with Sarah. but before that, like when I moved back from Alaska, I went to Alaska to buy a car or make money. There was no job or work for me here, so I ended up taking an offer in Montana, and then I didn't get the job, so I got stuck. And so Don's mom ended up getting us a job in Alaska, so we did that. She kind of didn't want him his whole life, so he had mommy issues. So he ended up, he was like a big, chunky, loppy kid. So he had knee problems his whole life. So his dad was real tough, like real tough on him. So at the beginning, it was kind of like he had trailer park issues with his dad, like not, you know, his mom didn't want him, his dad didn't want him. Her dad wanted him, but like, you know, was just like kind of just like, I don't know, real dominant. Like they were fighting over dominant stuff. Like his dad. So, and then his older sister ended up being boyfriend and girlfriend with my older cousin, and then so he kind of hung out with my tribe, and then my older cousin Val would beat him up. So he had issues. So all my friends had issues with my cousin because he would always start fights with them. And they were all kind of nerds. So he ended up being in Montana with his mom at the time. I don't forget exactly what happened. And then so I moved over there, didn't get the job, went to Alaska, got hurt, injured my arm, burnt my hand. And then got the best job in the whole place, and then, or in the whole group. And then a week later, 10 days later, I got burnt. So then I had to come back to Oroville, flew plane for the first time, both times, to Alaska and back from Alaska. That was kind of cool. And then hung out with my family again. And then my mom was married to this guy, another guy, white guy, older guy. He's a nice guy. So kind of like, I don't know what, kind of like an old tweaker house. I don't know what the house, and that was like, I don't know. He seemed like a nice guy. He worked and whatever, helped out with like disabled kids or whatever. Had a son, a little brat kid. So I was able to stay in a room for a little bit, in one of the rooms, I think. And then the neighbor, this lady had a room, little house thing that my uncle fixed up for us, and so we ended up moving. Me and my cousin lived there for a year or so, maybe 2, I don't know how long. And then so we had our own place. It was cool. Me and him got along, didn't get along. It was kind of. And before that, my parents had a house when I was 17, when I dropped out of school. So we lived there. My dad was living in a trailer on the property too, and then my brother had the next property house next to it. So it was all our property, but so my parents broke up. We got our own house pretty much, and my cousin was renting a room from the house, renting half the house, and so we lived together already. So when we lived again together, and across from there, like, and then I was going to college. I was going to junior college, pre-college at that time, and then and Sarah got pregnant, and then moved to, she got an apartment, so we got an apartment. And then we broke up after she had the baby, like within that first year. And then, so I moved again. Man, I feel like I've talked about all this stuff already. So I lived over there, and then went to school, then rented a room. I know I did. So lived in Oroville and went to art school. I lived in Bear Creek. And then me and my dad found a place. And then, so I've been in Oroville for a long time. And then, so I left school when I was like 26. I don't know. But, man, between all that, like, I have to look at these videos because I know I already said all this stuff. I feel like I already said all this stuff. So yeah, I guess I don't really need to talk about all this until I find out if I did. So my school life was great. College life was amazing. I loved it. It was I realized now that all my mentors were like all my teachers, they were like totally my mentors. Like I didn't really realize, like I thought my uncles, Chap and Bilo, were like also my mentors, like working in the job. But I realized like my college teachers were my other mentors, like my first mentors. Like they taught me a lot about getting stuff done and you know, trying to be great. And I'm gonna have to talk about each one of them because they were like amazing. Now that I'm older and I realize like that they took time for me and encouraged me and like gave me special attention in my classes, in my art classes, and even in my English classes, and even my female teachers were really cool. So some really great teachers. B College was a very special place for me. And then after Butte, going to San Francisco was cool. And then all that stuff. And then, so after that, I ended up, so during San Francisco, I was had all my stuff in my brother's, like a music room or whatever, so he let me keep my stuff in one of their rooms. Him and Sherry let me keep have a bedroom, so when I'd come visit on the weekends, like Isaiah I'd be able to hang out with my son or whatever. And then I would stay at my other uncle Chap's house, and when I was going to school, so he was cool about that. And then after that, moved back to Oroville. Where was I living? Still might have been Bear Creek. Oh no. Could have been classes still. Oh no, wait. I think my mom had a room in Oroville or something, or apartment. So I think I was staying there for a little bit. I forget where I was staying. And then that's when I went to San Francisco with Miros, our Daly City. Lived there for a year. And then after that year, moved back to, that's when I lived at 42 Oak Drive in Chico. For the first time, lived in Chico. And lived there for 5 years, I think it was. And after 5 years, lived at started getting rid of everything. It was me and my dad were renting that house. Mitos would stay there here and there during different times, and my dad left, and then for a year or something, and then come back, and then me and her broke up, and then for like almost a year, my mom moved in, and then she moved away, and then so I was living there by myself for a year. So all this stuff was happening, and then like, but my dad was mostly there most of the time, and then so I got rid of all my stuff, trying to finish my art, doing murals and teaching and all this stuff, and then drama and art shows and all this stuff started happening. And then 2014, 13, wait, 2000, I don't know when it was, 13 maybe? I started renting a room. Got rid of that house. We got kind of kicked out, but not really. Like, it was kind of a mutual decision between me and the landlord. She was like, "Man, you're always late," and I was like, "I know." And she was like, "Well," and then so we kind of was like, "Well, I'm gonna move out," and she was like, "All right," and then they hit me with the eviction notice, and I was like, and I wasn't even late a whole month, and so I was like, "What?" And then so I ended up paying like $1,300 more or something for all the penalty fees and everything. So not cool at the end, but whatever. I just wanted to get out already. I was just like, you know what, I can't afford to keep hustling and trying to pay extra money that I don't need. So my plan was to get out of Chico already, do my own thing. So I was waiting for Isaiah to get of age. He was like 16 maybe at the time, 15, I don't know. And then I rented a room, found a room online, and it was this apartment. It was like a master bedroom in this apartment, and this is when mega drama started happening. It was already drama that I didn't know about, but mega drama started happening. And I was still hanging out with Mitos at the time. I was teaching at Butte, and oh no, I wasn't hanging out with her at this time, but she was in town, and it's kind of like back and forth, kind of like talking. So by the time I moved out, she already had another boyfriend. I was drawing at farmers market. I saw them walk by on purpose. They were like, I don't know. I'll have to talk about that another day, but so I rent this room with these people, and I'm not going to go into it right now, but this is when I started noticing all this crazy shit. There was more shit, but this is like when because I was living not in my own place. I had to live amongst strangers, and this group of people, one like fat girl and her boyfriend, I don't know if he had mental problems, but she was from Paradise, I remember. So they rented me this room, master bedroom with the bathroom, and I was teaching, and I was just barely getting by. Never seemed like I can get ahead, like I can get money or whatever. So I was still seeing a couple girls here and there, but kind of. So yeah, so I ended up renting this room, I don't know, for a year or 6 months, I don't know. I just finished our lease. And then got another place, I think I already said that already, about from Lily. I don't know what her last name was. Kind of half Mexican girl, salsa dancer girl. And so she rented me a room for almost 6 months, maybe a year, I don't know. So I was trying to get all my art stuff done again. I'm kind of living there by myself. And then living Sarah's house for another 6 months, still teaching in Butte. It was never enough money. It was always never enough money. I always thought I would make extra money, and then never turned out. So, and then after Sarah's, oh yeah, I lived at my brother's house. I think I talked about this already too. So for that, I think almost 2 years there. So 2014 and 2015. And then my mom's husband passed away, Terry. And then, so I stayed there for a month, I think in December, and moved to Bay Area. So 2015, in 2016 and 17, I lived over at my uncle's house, Boxer, and then Bilo for a couple of weeks, and then Boxer, and then Uncle Chap for a couple of months, and then 2017 I ended up living at the San Jose 5573 Sun Spring Circle, and that was when it got even more. It was mellow but heated just as much. So there was a lot of drama through all those years. So from 2000, like, it's been a long time already since this stuff's been going on. Groups of people, groups of strangers, group of, you know, family members, all this stuff always questioning me and wondering, you know, lying, pretty much getting lied to, or getting trying to get put into positions of they call it gaslighting. Gaslighting is the term, and that's when somebody tries to make you believe one thing when it's really something else going on. So that's been happening to me for, you know, since I left 42 Ock Drive, and then even before that, I guess. But so all this stuff's been going on, and all these movies and commercials, and so a lot of stuff's been going on with that, you know, I don't know what it means, but so the reason I want to say that, just to lay down the foundation, so when I go into each details of the people that I've been dealing with, you know, it'll be more clear. But the next one I actually want to talk about is some of the ideas behind this other stuff, you know, this other artistic stuff. So I'm going to go into that next. But I don't know when I'll do that. Maybe tonight, I don't know. I've been wanting to get into that, but I kind of wanted to go over location. So some lady, the girl Margaret, she's my niece's, Calissa's fencing teacher. When I got to Cohasset, she was like, I was like, yeah, you know, she wanted me to pay $300 or something for the rent, and you know, no one else was paying, but I was like, okay, well, they're taking care of the lady, and so my dad was staying there, and he was caretaking the property, and then so I was like, yeah, you know, he was like, yeah, I got a room here if you want to stay. I was like, yeah, and then she was like, okay, well, we need to pay this and that, blah, blah. So it wasn't costing nobody money for me to stay there, but she wanted to charge me. So I was paying $300, but she said something about, like, I was like, yeah, you know, she's basically, everybody's always has this opinion of my life, like I haven't paid rent or worked a day in my life or all the shit. And I'm just thinking, like, every time somebody says that shit, I'm just thinking, like, motherfucker, you have no idea the fucking. So I'm saying all this stuff, I've been paying all this rent, working. I haven't learned how to do my taxes correctly till, like, recently, like, I'm trying to learn all this stuff, small business stuff. But I felt I've been an overachiever, even if I haven't gotten to where I want to get. Like, all these jobs that I've done have been above average jobs. Like, even doing my own art stuff, I've always achieved beyond expectation, but yet people still want to, like, challenge my ability to do this stuff. So when she was like, oh yeah, like, you never, like, ha ha ha, you don't even pay rent, or you don't know how to pay rent, I'm just like always thinking, like, bitch, you fucking. So all these people that's been throwing even my uncle, all these people, like, oh, always. And so I'm gonna go through this shit. But for those people that that have the audacity to challenge my life or my lifestyle, my goals or whatever, to try to take away from my ability to meet expectations and challenges monetarily or whatever. You know, guys, if I wanted to get a normal job, which I'm gonna do, like that shit, and you know, it's great. You know, I wish, you know, the Bay Area is a little bit better. I don't know about now, but it's been better for work as far as jobs, normal jobs. But you know, I'll go through this stuff. But my accomplishments have been, and my goals are high. So just don't believe the hype that people will always be trying to undermine other people that you know, it's easy to be like, oh, great job, you know, you work at this job and you make this money, and you can gauge somebody by the nice stuff that they have, but you can't gauge the tenacity and will power and how much mental strength somebody can get through their life. And so yeah, so I've been paying bills for a long time, so anybody that's got that mixed up, don't mix it, now you know. And I'll go through specifics, so I don't want to hear this stuff from people when they challenge my life. So one of the things was, you know, so right now I'm in another place where, and I'll talk about it. You know, my mom's helped me a lot, so I'm not going to take away from the people that's helped. I accept help. I don't think that's a bad thing. But I've also paid my dues, and I've been working my ass off. Like, I have not stopped. If anything, I'm a workaholic. That's the problem. But, you know, the money hasn't came. But so when I make money, it's going to be a big old surprise to people. But don't think that it just came. Don't think that for one instant, any year from 18 to now, I've been working nonstop. So, anyway, okay, 37:50 later.